All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to completely transform that Android phone of yours from a massive time sink into a high-performance portable university. I mean, if you're like most of us, your phone is probably a constant source of distraction, right? Well, today we're flipping the script. We're going to break down the exact frameworks, the apps, and the hidden system settings you need to turn that slab of glass in your pocket into an absolute powerhouse for cognitive growth. Because think about it. We're living in this crazy pocket-sized paradox. We literally carry around hardware that's millions of times more powerful than the computers that put a man on the moon. Yet, what do most of us use it for? A dopamine slot machine. We're literally trading our focus for infinite scrolling. But hey, it absolutely doesn't have to be that way. By shifting our mindset from passive consumption to intentional leverage, you can literally swap that slot machine for a portable university. Out with the endless feeds, in with spaced repetition and AI tutors. It's a real game changer. So here's our architectural blueprint for today. We're going to cover the pocket-sized paradox, building your digital sanctuary, setting up the input layer, active sparring with AI, automating long-term retention, and finally, architecting smart habits.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the pocket-sized paradox.
You see, right out of the box, your phone is basically a trap. The flashy colors, the constant dings, those endless feeds, they're literally engineered by experts to hijack your attention. So to achieve real high-performance growth, we have to actively re-engineer these devices. We have to move away from just passive consumption, mindlessly reading or watching, and step into an active learning loop. And that loop is input, understand, recall, apply, and reflect. Without that specific structure, all that high-potential hardware is just squandered on low-fidelity digital noise.
Moving right along to Section 2, the digital sanctuary.
Now, before we can actually build your learning engine, we kind of have to destroy the gamified elements of your OS first. We need to make your phone visually boring, and there are 3 exact steps to do this. First, dive into your developer options and flip on grayscale mode. Second, while you're poking around in there, drop your animation scales down to 0.5x. That strips away those smooth, addictive transitions and makes the phone feel super fast and utilitarian. And third, install a minimalist launcher, something like Before Launcher or O Launcher. This wipes out those colorful app grades and replaces them with stark, simple text lists.
The golden rule here is pretty simple. Make your phone boring for entertainment, but incredibly rich for learning. By stripping away the color and hiding the icons, you kill the neurological appeal of your distractions. Suddenly, your brain starts craving stimulation from your learning apps, just because it's the only interesting thing left on the device. You can pair this with Android's digital well-being focus mode to just totally pause social apps during study blocks. And hey, when you're in the zone, you can use built-in tools like Circle to Search to instantly interrogate complex diagrams or math problems right on your screen. 0 distracting browsers required.
Okay, now that we've built a clean sanctuary, let's get into Section 3, the input layer.
To really learn efficiently, you've got to process high volumes of information across basically every format. For audio, you can use tools like Speechify or 11 Reader. They use crazy good AI voices to turn literally any PDF or textbook into a podcast that you can blast through at 2x or 3x speed, and it actually still sounds human. For video, set up structured playlists on YouTube or use Nebula. And for text, Readwise Reader is an absolute must-have. It lets you highlight articles and even pulls YouTube transcripts. The whole point of this layer is to squeeze maximum value out of your dead time, like your commute or doing the dishes.
But I gotta give you a quick warning here. Consumption does not equal competence. If you just listen to something, you're gonna forget it. You absolutely have to capture those insights. So if you're listening to a dense podcast, use an app like Snipped to automatically highlight and transcribe the key moments using AI. Use Google Keep or a voice recorder to quickly brain dump your thoughts. Then, funnel all of that raw data into a personal knowledge management system, your second brain, like Notion or Obsidian. This is where the magic happens. It's where you connect an economic theory to a psychological concept. Capturing is what actually makes the learning stick.
Let's move right into Section 4, active sparring with AI.
Look, don't just passively read about a topic. Interrogate it. You literally have the smartest AI models on the planet sitting in your pocket right now. So boot up Gemini Live or Claude and hit them with this exact Socratic prompt. I just read about this topic. Challenge my understanding of it by asking me 3 difficult questions. If my answers are weak, expose the gaps in my logic. Wow. I mean, that forces you to actually think on your feet and defend your new knowledge against a super intelligent sparring partner. What that prompt actually does is automate the Feynman technique. If you're not familiar, this is named after the legendary physicist Richard Feynman. The basic idea is that if you can't explain a complex concept simply, like you're teaching a total beginner, then you don't actually understand it. By actively sparring with an AI, you are forced to synthesize your thoughts. It yanks you out of passive reading and throws you into an active, high-stakes session that perfectly exposes exactly what you need to go back and review.
Now, you may be wondering, what if I'm studying for a super niche medical board or a highly technical coding exam, and I absolutely cannot afford for the AI to hallucinate? Well, that's where Google's Notebook LM comes into play. You can upload your own class PDFs, your textbooks, your personal notes directly into Notebook LM to basically spin up a private AI tutor. This specialized AI will only ever answer your questions based on the exact material you fed it. It is an incredibly powerful way to master your own specific curriculum without the fluff.
All right, next up is Section 5, Automating Long-Term Retention.
Check out this number, 89%. That is the documented long-term retention rate of the SM2 spaced repetition algorithm, which just so happens to be the engine running under the hood of the free MacroDroid app. Listen, if you just read a book normally, the human forgetting curve guarantees you'll forget like 90% of it within a month. But spaced repetition? It shows you a flashcard at the exact mathematically optimal millisecond right before your brain is about to forget it. It literally hardwires the data into your long-term memory. So, how do we actually put this into practice? Well, instead of forcing yourself through a miserable 2-hour cram session, just use the 2-minute rule. Whenever you find yourself with 2 free minutes, maybe you're waiting for an elevator or standing in line for coffee, do not open social media. Just don't do it. Open Anki instead. Turn that dead time into a compounding algorithmic memory-building session. Whether it's Python syntax, Spanish vocab, or core tenets of Stoicism, converting your knowledge into a strict question-and-answer format in Anki basically guarantees you will never forget it.
Now, since you're going to be spending some highly intentional time staring at text and flashcards, we've got to talk hardware ergonomics for a second. Dive into those Android display settings and make absolutely sure your refresh rate is locked at 120 Hz. Trust me, it makes reading and scrolling so much smoother and easier on the eyes. Also, set up an aggressive blue light filter or a nightlight schedule. If you're doing a quick flashcard review right before bed, you definitely don't want to be blasting your retinas with blue light and wrecking your sleep cycle. Proper learning requires proper rest, so protect your circadian rhythm. And finally, let's wrap things up with Section 6, Architecting Smart Habits.
Look, relying entirely on your own motivation is a guaranteed recipe for failure. Motivation fades, right? And decision fatigue is a very real thing after a long day of work. To fix this, we have to replace human willpower with smart triggers. We can use Android automation apps like MacroDroid or Tasker to kick off our learning rituals completely automatically. Instead of you having to manually muster the willpower to open a study app, your phone just makes the decision for you based on your physical context.
For example, you could easily set up a library trigger. The exact second your phone connects to the Wi-Fi at your local cafe or university library, MacroDroid automatically flips on Do Not Disturb and launches your Anki deck. Boom, you're studying. Or how about a charging ritual? Every night when you plug your phone into the charger by your bed, it instantly pops up in Duolingo or your Readwise app for some evening reading. By setting up these smart triggers, you completely eliminate the need for daily discipline. You just build a pre-programmed, frictionless ritual where your environment literally forces the habit.
Which brings us to our final thought, and it's honestly an incredible thing to consider. Once you get your environment locked down with a minimalist launcher, your input massively accelerated by AI voices, your critical thinking sharpened by Socratic AI sparring, and your long-term memory automated by algorithms, well, your phone isn't a slot machine anymore, is it? It's a portable university. So the only question I have left for you is this. If you actually take the time to implement this architecture today, what will you choose to master in a single year? Take that thought with you and go start building your learning engine.